Welcome to the press conference at the very end of the Svidler Gelfand rapid chess match. The final score is 5-3. Svidler has won. And today we played games 7 and 8. Svidler managed to win game 7 playing white, and the 8th game ended in a draw. So final score is 5-3. We've had a very exciting match with many victories, 4 victories, 4 draws. And before we dive into the games and analyze them, I will start with a few warm-up questions. But these are going to be standard questions. You may have been asked them many, many times before.
You saved the best for the last.
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
So, Peter, first tell us among standard chess and rapid chess and blitz, what is your favorite?
Well, it's a hard question because my initial impulse would be to say that I prefer classical, but I actually enjoy playing faster time controls a lot. But I think in order to express yourself, if that is your aim, if you want to express yourself as a chess player, if you want to create something over the board, it's easier to do obviously with more time, but it's still possible definitely in rapid and sometimes even in blitz when you're in good form. So I just like playing chess, to be honest. I don't really make a huge distinction.
What about you, Boris?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think also that classical. In classical you play games which may stay in history, which is less likely in rapid and blitz. But rapid, it's more interesting to watch, probably, at least. And blitz is fun to play. I think it makes no point to watch it, at least on the internet, because I think only if you
I'm an addict.
Stand next or play, it's fun, yeah, because to follow it via online, it's no fun. But okay, I think nowadays we have a more or less healthy mix of all events. What I really disliked, and I fought with it, and we succeeded basically because 10 years ago it was an idea to mix classical and rapid, to make some mixed time control, to be able to play 2 games a day, etc., etc.
Yeah,
it's total nonsense. And but I got some gray hair, but finally we managed to get rid of this nonsense. Yeah.
Okay, and of the next question for you, Peter. Of the former world chess champions, which is your favorite, and which of them have you beaten so far?
The second question is, I think actually for me both questions are reasonably easy. My all-time favorite chess player among world champions, non-world champions is Mikhail Tal. Both for his style and to a huge extent, because I mean I have never met the man. The closest I've been to him was maybe 20 meters away in '92, very close to he was very ill at that time already, and he died, I think, soon after. But from what I know of the man, listening to the stories told by people who knew him well, he was a very good and a very interesting man, and a man who managed not to change at least too much in spite of success he achieved, which is, I think, quite rare for, in order to get to the, summit he got to, you generally have to make some sacrifices in terms of, your character, and you have to, I don't know, simplify your life and do away with some of the things which are not necessary. And it always appeared to me from those stories that he managed to get there without doing any of that. So that was, for me, very, very inspiring. And as for my victories against the world champions, in classical, I think I've only beaten Kasparov, up to Kasparov, And then I have victories against Kramnik and Kasimzhanov, Khalifman. And if you add Rapid and Blitz, I have won some games against Karpov and Anand. I still haven't won a single game in Classical against Vichy. And I haven't won a Classical game against Karpov, but I haven't played that many. Against Vichy, I played maybe 3 dozen and haven't won one. So.
And with Carlsen?
With Carlsen, I think I still have a positive score, which is mainly due to the fact that I started playing him when he was a little boy. So I was lucky in that respect. People who started playing him slightly later than I did, they tend to not do that well.
All right, thank you. Boris, over to you. The chess champion you admire the most, a world chess champion, and your victories against former champions.
I don't think I can say I admire someone. I learned from each one. I think it's one of 10 commandments is that one shouldn't create an idol, yeah? How is it in English?
Very well.
Exactly. And my father was telling to me every second day, yeah? Even though he was not religious, but I think it's a right attitude. And but I learned from everyone, but probably mostly I learned from a person who didn't become world champion, Akiba Rubinstein. But I tried to learn from all the great masters. I read all books of them.
So games of Akiba Rubinstein you think are still relevant today for modern chess?
I think so. Even so, recently, when they played the tournament in Norway, Aleksander Grishuk made fun of me when he said, I don't understand why Boris likes Rubinstein's game so much while he's playing much better.
Yeah, but that it created some kind of a scandal, but I don't think it's such a controversial remark, to be honest.
Yeah, but okay, it gives good basis. I think for youngsters it's very useful because a modern trend is you push a button and you know everything. And it's not correct, and I think I would recommend everyone to study games of great masters. Everyone has its own taste. Someone would like Rubinstein's game, someone would like Alekhin's game, someone would like Capablanca's game, whatever. I think it forms a very good basis.
Yeah, that is most certainly true. And also, I think both me and Boris, we were very lucky that we were growing up in the Soviet, system, and a great wealth of books was actually available to us. Books which I'm not sure I even translated into English.
A lot of books.
The Black series is translated.
Most of them are translated, and
then I would definitely recommend.
I think there are plenty of great books about great masters. Yeah, it's plenty enough. You need to make a small effort to go to internet to find. There are some older books which are maybe not available, but also some modern books, and I think it's rather a problem of attitude rather than the inavailability. Of course, I remember that when Bobby Fischer's 60 memorable games were published in Russian, it was published with 100,000 copies, and still it was impossible to get it. My father did so much effort to get it for me. I don't remember what he did. This game and games of Bent Larsen's 50 games, I think he exchanged it from another detective story which no one could find, or something like this. But of course, this Black series in Russian, 32 books of greatest masters, it's a good foundation. But also it's available in many languages. I have to say that's a game, so even if one cannot find all these games, Kasparov's book gives a good value of a good description of all masters, 10, 15, 20 games of each of them, annotated by a great champion himself. I think if one wants, he would get access.
Okay, this leads me to the next question, which you've already partially answered. If we have people watching us who are young, aspiring chess players, and they want to become like you,
Yeah.
Chess champions when they grow up. We'll start with you, Peter. Can you give us...
I didn't answer to the question who might beat.
I'll get to that.
I'll beat. Okay, okay.
So meanwhile, you can
okay.
recall the whole list.
I think it's easier for you, no? You beat everybody.
No. No, I didn't beat Kasparov.
Do you want to answer it now? Go ahead.
No, okay. It's a quick answer, yeah.
Go ahead.
So I managed to beat Spassky. I don't think I didn't manage to play Talos Myslov. Karpov I beat, Kasparov I never beat. Kramnik I beat, but before he became world champion. Since then, Victor Sanand I beat. Okay, FIDE world champions, I think I beat all of them. Khalifman, Kasimzhanov, Ponomarev, and Topalov. And Carlsen, I won one game, but before he became world champion. Did I miss someone?
I definitely missed some people, but you corrected my mistakes. Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. So getting back to my former question, for young players who want to grow up to be champions, can you share 2 or 3 tips on what they should do in today's environment?
I think it is extremely beneficial to work with other people because, as Boris said, in today's world there is, this idea that all you need is a machine in front of you, and the machine is an extremely useful tool, and of course every one of us spends a lot of time working with a computer. But if you can find friends or a coach who fits your style and fits your approach to chess, it's extremely beneficial to have a look at chess with somebody who will be, a sounding board for your ideas, who will tell you when you're making no sense whatsoever, because you get carried away when you're on your own. And I know this is extremely important for me. I almost, I find it very, very hard to work productively on my own. And I like working with others. And generally try to keep some kind of balance between constantly analyzing with the engine. And you need to try, and I think you still need to try and retain some kind of freshness of approach, because just memorizing lines which the machine spews at you, it's useful and necessary in many cases, but you do have to play an actual position in front of you every now and then. And in order to still be able to do that, you need to try and combine this mechanical approach with the live approach, so to speak. I think in today's environment, those are the most important things which, I would stress in terms of, what people should be doing now. And in general, you do have to work quite a lot. I mean, without hard work, it's almost impossible to get anywhere. But that is true with, any human endeavor. So I'm not saying anything new there.
Oh, excellent. Okay, Boris, what can you add?
What I would recommend, first of all, I would recommend to find out your motivation. Is your motivation to become a better player, or you want immediate glory or something like this? If you want immediate glory, money and things, maybe you look for another occupation. Yeah? If you want to be, you have to have big motivation to improve and to learn. Then it's first and foremost. And then I want to recommend each one to have its own ideas about chess, about position. As we said, it's very useful to look at the games of the greats, but I think it's important to each of the young players to have his ideas and to form his style. Because otherwise, if you'll do everything like everyone else, so you'll play like everyone else. Maybe because of your talent or your age, you'll do well for a few years, but then younger players with who would get their knowledge on a fresher base would overtake you. Unless you form your own strong views on chess, I think it would be very difficult to advance.
Okay, thank you very much. So we will now step in and review the 7th game with Peter playing white.
So I managed to strike a blow for the white color finally.
Yes.
Which, yeah, we once again via this move order we got to the green field, and I played a slightly saner sideline than the one I played yesterday because I did not feel like losing a 15-move game yet again. This is still very well known. I mean, in this position, black has a variety of options. You can play c6, you can play bishop c6 as Boris played. There are also some pawn sacrifices available.
Even b5.
Yeah, even Grishuk once played b5, knight takes b5, c5 in this position, which is, you know, spectacular looking and not that bad, to be honest. I mean, I'm not sure this is the best approach to this position, but it's playable, and I think he even won the game. Yeah?
I think in rapid.
He played it in a rapid tournament. He did well with it, but it hasn't been repeated much since. Boris went bishop c6, which I think is the most solid and a very, very correct response to this. e3, unfortunately, is more or less forced. White cannot really avoid this doubling of the pawns on f3. Up to here, I think we're still following this game between Van Hau and Aronian, in which Lev played c5. Takes rook c8, and after b4, knight takes c5, bc5, queen a5. White is already in a lot of trouble, or at least some trouble. But White's play can potentially be improved. I mean, I wasn't planning to repeat the entire game and resign. Let's put it like this. And Boris went for a more quieter continuation, e6.
I'm not happy with this idea.
I think maybe
knight h5.
Yeah, just go knight h5 here. That was what was worrying me the most when I was preparing. I mean, I had an idea to play this even yesterday, but basically I got to this position, and after knight h5 I was
f4, you play f4.
But after f4, I think you can go back. That was my major worry.
I was not sure.
I think you just go back. That was worrying me a lot. If you take on g3, I'm extremely happy. Well, extremely happy once again. It's an overstatement, but I think it's playable for white. But once I play f4, you don't have to take. And if I don't play f4, if I castle, you can just take and play e5, for instance. Yeah. And I mean, it's just a very, very comfortable Slav type position. And, I mean, white is not worse, but neither is he really pushing much. So that was a bit of a problem with this whole line. But as I said, there's a lot of options available to black starting from move 8, and I wasn't absolutely sure we will get to this position. So e6, I think, is also not that bad, but it at least gives me some options. Castles, queen e7. And here I thought I must do something with the idea of e5, so I went queen b3. b7 is an important pawn, so knight b6 is almost forced. And here my first idea was to play a4. I don't know if you considered this.
I considered. I thought I would play knight h5.
Yeah, precisely. This is the only move that I didn't like, but it's very, very strong, I think. The point of my idea is to, if knight... I'm sorry. We'll get back there. But that means I can't show this line, yeah? If knight d5, I can play e3, e4. That's my big point. I can play e4, and I can sort of stretch my position forward a little bit and gain some space in the center. And I thought this might be playable. But after knight h5, I'm just now not in time. a5, let's say knight d5, a6, b6. Sorry. There seems to be some kind of a lag. Yeah, b6. And white manages to create, you know, a temporary weakness on c6, but because the bishop on g3 will be exchanged in a minute, he can't really do anything about it. It's just, I think, dead equal here. So because of that, I thought I should play knight e4, at least preventing this for the time being, creating a threat of bishop d6. And if, let's say, rook fd8, I thought I could maybe
bishop
play
h4.
Yeah, maybe I could play bishop h4. And if knight bd5, I can spend one move on something. I don't know, rook a c1 or rook fd1. And actually, it's not that easy to unpin himself for black, because queen c7, I will play back. I will put the bishop back on g3. I will pick a moment and play bishop g3 back. So I thought I retained some pressure here. And the important question is what happens after takes, and all the moves that black can play in this position. There's c5, e5, and f5.
Yeah.
Allowing e4, e5 is, of course, not a great idea here. Black needs to do something about it. So if e5 immediately, I think I take, right? I thought I take. I thought I take.
Yeah, another move a4, I was not sure.
Yeah, that it's possible to try and be very tactical here, but I wasn't sure what was going on.
Yeah, a5. Yeah, e4. Maybe nothing dramatic. Yeah, rook a1.
c5, maybe, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I will have compensation, but it's a central pawn, and I wasn't sure I needed to do that. I mean, it's bishop c4 maybe here. I mean, white does get decent compensation, but also I thought a simpler, more more prosaic way to do
bishop
that.
g7.
Yeah, and e5. And it's very unclear. Once again, I don't even think white is better necessarily, but at least we got a position I can play.
I think black are fine.
Yeah, I think
king h8.
Yeah, king h8 and f6 was one plan. I thought I should play e4 so that I bring the second one to e5. It's a sharp and clear position
g5
in which.
may I play?
Ah, yeah, maybe you can actually. Yeah. Ah, then I have to start with this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to start with this, and if you play f6, I will take, and I will play e4 there. I mean, it's a sharp position which should be absolutely fine for black, but I was just looking for ways to have a sort of a non-symmetrical position with, with some chances for a game. If c5, I think I can just take.
You take on rook c1.
Take on rook c1. It's not very nice because there are no good squares for the queen. c5 is really not very nice, which leaves f5. And for a while, I was extremely unhappy about this because I thought that if I have to react by either taking on f5 or playing e5, I think black is at least not worse, maybe even pushing for advantage. I'm not sure. So it took me a while to settle on a move here. But then I spotted this idea that I don't actually have to do anything yet with the threat of f takes e4. It was a very important realization. And when I found a4, I became much happier about my position.
So you already saw queen c2 coming in the future?
Well, it's a very straight line. It's not such a tricky move to find. But the big thing to realize was that I don't actually have to do anything after f5, because you see a move like this, and your first reaction is I must reply by some kind of a forcing move. But a4 I think is a very decent move. I think you kind of have to take a5. I can also play queen c2 immediately, but I think it's very important to get the pawn up to a6. a5, knight g5, a6. I think you have to play b6 because ba rook a6 is just really unattractive. It's really not a nice way to play here. And after b6, queen c2, here I was reasonably happy with my position. I thought.
No, you're much better here already.
Yeah, because of the weakness on c6, it's, I mean, ideally black would like to keep the pawn on c6 and play for maybe c5 break. But after, let's say, rook a c8, queen e4, it's just, it's never going to be possible for, e5 rook c6, for instance. It's, for tactical reasons, I think black will never have enough time to do that. So this is a passive position which will be very difficult to hold, actually. So it's understandable that Boris wanted to get rid of this weakness. And actually, I'm not quite sure bishop c4 is such a great move. Because to be honest, I forgot about knight b6 at first. And I realized it will come the moment I played bishop c4. But I mean, I retain some advantage there. I mean, it's more pleasant to play with white. But I think maybe I have more.
Yes, the black pawns are terrible right now.
Yeah, maybe I have more ambitious ways to continue here, because I cannot take, well, I can, but I don't really like to take straight away because the knight is coming to c3. So I need to make some kind of a move, rook a c1, rook a d1 maybe in some positions, I don't know. I think bishop c4 might actually be a mistake, but we didn't have that much time at that point, and I didn't feel like, because there are so many options for white here, that I felt, bishop c4 looks good, so let's just make this move because I will need this time later. But Objectively, I don't know what you thought here, but I think maybe there is a stronger move available to white. I'm not sure. I mean, even here, this position is not equal. I still have some pressure and I have plans, but it's a pity to give up this bishop. I thought rook f5 was a very good move with this. Obviously, you cannot take on b2 because allowing rook b1, rook b7 is madness. You can't really play like this. But after rook f5, I have to be very fast because bishop comes to e5. If the bishops get traded, it's not going to be very much. Did I have anything better than rook a5 here?
I didn't see.
Because basically I need to bring the rook to b7 as fast as possible. I thought, this is the only serious plan of fighting for advantage I have here. So I went rook a5, rook f8. It's important to note that the immediate bishop b5 is never possible because queen e4 collects material. Yeah, that was an important thing I had to notice at some point. So rook f8, rook b5, bishop b5, rook b7. I did get to b7, but unfortunately black is already mobilized. So after queen d6, I can't.
Queen f6, f4, yeah?
Yeah, queen f6. No, but also I thought after queen f6 this might not be such a stupid idea.
Mm-hmm.
You take, I take, you put one of the rooks on f7,
yeah,
I don't know which one, maybe this one, and I play rook d1.
Rook d1 or c1.
Yeah, and
d1, yeah.
And this might not be such great fun for black.
Yeah.
I thought queen h4 might be an important idea here. But queen d6 I thought is the best move. And the thing is I can't take on a7 because I think this is a draw.
Yeah.
Takes,
rook
takes,
f2.
rook f2, takes.
Queen g3, queen e3, queen h6.
And queen h6, yeah, and back,
queen e3.
and back to e3. It's important not to allow queen g4, of course. But after queen e3, yeah, I go king h2 and we shake hands. So this means that I can't win the all-important a7 pawn at the moment. And also after f4, I think you have g5, right?
f4, g5.
Yeah, because I almost played f4, and then I realized that, once again in this game, this move with the f-pawn does not actually create a threat. fe5 is not a threat yet. And after g5, it just becomes an incredible mess because, once the king side starts collapsing, it becomes anybody's game. So I had to settle on queen e2, which solves my immediate problems on the king side. And I want to play rook d1, of course, next. So bishop g3, hg, and in this position,
Might play c4.
Yeah, that was what I was getting very worried about the moment when you played rook f7. Yeah, I did not see it when I was playing queen e2, but I saw it while you were thinking, and this could actually mean that this position is a draw. I'm not entirely certain, but I think it may be that I have nothing better than queen takes c4, rook f2, and we transpose to the same. Or I can take on a7, but then I think queen b6.
b6.
Yeah, queen b6. And rook d7, queen a6. Yeah, it's very difficult to imagine I will win this position. I mean, I maybe still have some imaginary pressure, but I mean, objectively, this has to be a draw somehow, I think. So this probably was, maybe from a practical standpoint, at least it was stronger than what Boris did, because the position we got.
Also rook f3, I thought.
Yes, rook f3, but I think I can play rook g1. That was my point. Because now rook g3, I think I can take, and play queen g2, queen e3, and king h1. And if queen h6, queen h2 wins on the spot. So this, I thought this means that I can do this. So I can play rook d1, and if you play queen e5, for instance, I thought I have a hugely important move, rook d8, which exchanges one pair of rooks straight away.
G3?
I'm going crazy here. Yeah, I can resign. Okay, that doesn't work. The problem is after rook d7, now rook g3 is a draw. That's why I was planning to go rook d8. This is once again a perpetual. Then maybe rook f3, yeah, because
No, I thought king g2.
Straight away?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. Queen 64, yeah.
E4.
Maybe. Yeah, and this is a version of what we got, which is
Yeah. So
maybe an improved version for you.
I
slightly,
was
yeah.
not sure. I was hesitating between two. I don't think it's an improvement.
Maybe you get rook d7, d4 somewhere.
Rook c1.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's still not a very pleasant position to play, to be honest. But yeah, it's hard to judge. I forgot about rook takes g3 there completely. Yeah, I was so happy I found this rook d8 idea. There you go. But then again, maybe this means that...
No, c4 I had to
hang
play.
on a second. Just briefly, something I wanted to point out. Rook f3, rook d1, queen e5. Maybe I can take? Yeah, that's another thing I was considering. I can actually take, because rook f2, queen f2, I am probably winning because the king is so weak. And rook g3 still doesn't work. With the rook on d1, rook takes g3 still doesn't work. So maybe I can do this. Maybe it's not that bad yet for me. So, but rook f7 is a normal move, but here, I mean, it's very far from equal despite limited material left on the board, and black's pawns are very, very weak, and the king is also, I have a much safer king. So I expected you to play queen b6, but
yeah, I thought.
I don't know, b3 or
b3.
rook g2 or something. Yeah.
b3.
The problem is it's very difficult to find what to do next. I mean, for the time being, all the squares along the d file are covered, but I will find some plan to improve. For instance, I can maybe play 4e4, e5, rook d6. I have really a lot of time.
You can
here.
play f4 just to.
Yeah, or f4, king f2, and just improve slowly. And black has no real plan of improvement whatsoever. So, I mean, it's hard to say if white is much better, but white definitely enjoys this position much more than black does. And after queen f3, there are tactical problems, unfortunately. The queen becomes more active, but after e4, I thought the only move was queen g4.
g4, yeah.
But I had a feeling this might be bad as well for. I mean,
Rook d8, put queen to e3.
Yeah, rook d8.
Queen
Let's
c3.
say check. Maybe check, or yeah, maybe check. Why not?
Checking.
King back.
No, check maybe queen g5 is possible.
f4. Ah, no, d8 is hanging. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. But at least here I couldn't find anything forcing. I thought that was the best chance because nothing seems to make any direct progress for white, at least. I don't know if if black is actually holding here, but I thought that was the best option available to black. Let's put it like this. Because after queen g5, as in the game, rook d6, I think this is almost over actually, because suddenly everything is collapsing. I control all the checking squares, and if queen e5, I take on e6. And if queen f6 is in the game, I take on c5 first and then on e6, and we get the same position. And here, white is just completely winning because it's very easy to safeguard against the perpetual, and I'm already a pawn up, and the pawn on a7 is just constantly weak. But there was one point where I think I made a reasonably big mistake in this position. First of all, I think I should have just played. Yeah, I don't know. Basically, here you could play. We got to. I'm sorry, I'm breezing through this, but basically, should be technically winning for white. But I think in this position I made a mistake, because after e7 you could play king f7, and this might be winning, but it is now somewhat tricky. I think I have to go, basically I have two positions and I have to choose between one. One position is, no, this is just completely wrong because there's queen f8, sorry. Then I have no choice whatsoever, because I thought this also works. There's queen f8 here with an immediate draw. So basically I think I more or less have to go for this. Queen a7, check, check, not queen c5 obviously. check, f3. Queen d2, queen f2 is
A2.
lost, so queen a2, queen e6, and g4. And I'm 2 pawns up, and I suspect I'm still winning, but it is now quite tricky after something like queen e2. It is far from straightforward now, especially on a minute. You know, it's very easy to blunder something and not win this position. So I should have been more precise somewhere. I'm not sure where, but I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that this position is completely winning for white. But I must have paid more. I should have paid more attention here. I should have done something different. Maybe actually what I should have done is just to play e6. Queen a6, queen a7, I think that's maybe is the cleanest solution. Queen e1 check, king h2, and yeah, this is just over. Yeah, this was probably the easiest victory. So by doing what I did, I actually allowed a reasonably big chance, which would have been a mess. But rapid, it's hard to play a game without major mistakes, and when you get down to a minute. But generally, I felt quite satisfied with that game. I thought I played that game reasonably well.
Yes, at the end of that game, you had basically won the entire match. The score was
yeah, that was
2.5.
Yeah, I have to say that, you know, the way the first 2 days were going, the match could have quite easily been over by game 5, and not the way it eventually ended. But in the final 2 days, I played some chess, which resembled a human being chess. You know? So I'm happy about that.
All right, let's take a quick break.
Sure.
And then continue with the 8th game.